trust it enough to like want a piece.
This Meet the Miniaturist live. I know we were playing, and we're going to get to meet you, and we're going to get to see some of your work. So, why don't we just like start at the beginning? Tell us a little bit about yourself and your involvement with miniatures. What is your first memory of miniatures? And also a little bit about, is there an art background? Because those things I love to sort of, entrench ourselves with before we get on to the good stuff.
Okay. Well, before we start, Darren, I have to say, like, from my heart to yours, thank you so much for having me on.
My pleasure.
This goes back to the question that you have for me. Like, when I first started looking into miniatures, your name popped up first. It was your name.
Oh,
and I went through your website, your Instagram feed, and I was just blown away by your artistry and, just your touch with miniatures and how it just amazes me that, full circle today, I'm here sitting with you, talking to you.
You're too kind.
I would have never guessed. I would have never guessed or dreamed that, that I would be sitting here with you talking.
Like, sweet. Thank you.
So
that is very sweet.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
And I am blown away by your talent. When I stumbled upon your Instagram account, I'm like, oh my God, I've got to chat with her. I need to get to the bottom. I need to get to this. So have you been making miniatures for a long time? Let's go back a little bit.
All my life, I've always been a DIYer. Like, I've loved arts and crafts, but I just never knew or found my path or my avenue. So I tried sewing, I tried working with clay, and then I had kids, and then I started making them their own toys. And so with children, things got smaller. And as I created things for them, I realized, oh my gosh, I love these things tiny. I love all things tiny. And so that's what sparked my love for miniatures. And then I found you.
Did you grow up with miniatures, or was it until you had the kid? No.
My siblings, we'd be in our basement with cardboard and tape. So, I mean, it does relate to that. Like, it brings me back to our childhood where we would makeshift and make our own things. And then fast forward to today, I had kids of my own, and I'm always creating stuff for them. And then like I said, things got tinier with them, and I was just like, I love miniatures. And I found you. And then through you, it brought me down the rabbit hole of Miniature World. Which is just mind blowing. It's just, you're scrolling away and you're just miniature after miniature, and you're just like, wow.
So no formal art training background.
No formal art training.
That just blows my mind away. And no sort of traditional growing up with dollhouses and loving tiny things. It wasn't really until recently that you caught the bug, which is fascinating for me, which is great. I mean, I think that just goes back to one of my... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's never too late.
Yeah, it's never too late.
It's never too late.
My theory is, one of my theories is that, once you are exposed and made aware of these things is when you get engaged. So that just solidifies my theory, which is you weren't aware of them, and then you became aware of them later on in life, and boom, you're into it. So that's awesome.
And absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about how you got into your specific style, the kinds of things you do. What would you call what you do? Is it diorama art? It's not dollhouse.
I would have to say it's more so, I mean, it's not just, I guess it would be diorama art. I just haven't found the actual label for it, because I do recreate existing storefronts. It's like urban decay, because I'm just trying to recreate existing structures and their natural wear and tear elements.
So where did that spark come from? Because you have a very specific point of view to your art and to your miniatures. Where did that come from? What was the first piece you did? What inspired you to do that, and why?
So the first piece that I created was the Kim's Convenience. And so it's a show that it's on Netflix and on CBC Gem, and it's actually an existing storefront in Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Right.
And
we should tell people that you're from Canada. We should have open for
Yes,
that.
I'm sorry, I'm from Canada.
Yeah.
I know, I just assumed that everyone in the miniature world, we all live in the same little bubble, right?
Total little bubble,
we live down the street. And so I created Kim's Convenience, and at that moment, I had no idea there was such thing as dioramas, or I've only been exposed, or I've only allowed myself to explore the dollhouse world. And so when I had created this storefront on a whim, that's when I like started going down the rabbit hole, like using hashtags. And and as I went through the hashtags, I did scratch build, because I knew that I had created my piece from scratch. It wasn't a kit. It was just, random objects, and it became this one piece. And then I stumbled upon this artist named Joshua Smith. He's an amazing artist that everyone needs to check out.
And he follows you, I noticed.
And it was his work that blew me away. And I was like, okay, this type of art exists, and this art speaks volumes to me. So this is the kind of art and path that I want to go down and explore, and see if it's something that I can, see if it's something that I can become a passion of mine. And it was. I was just so amazed by all of his work, everything he would post. I'm like zooming in every picture, and I'm like, how is he doing that? Like, it's just mind-blowing. Right. And then fast forward to today, and I look back, and when prior to, like, just like as when I first found you and I found Joshua Smith, I was like, there is no way I can recreate this type of art. But I just kept practicing, and I just kept focusing, and learning new techniques, and failing and succeeding, and finally finding my own style. And I mean, I can't say that I'm a master at it, because I feel that I'm still constantly learning. And and then
talk about your unique. Talk a little bit about your unique style, because there is something that you really can't capture unless you talk to the artist. Like, what is it about your work? What is it that? Why do you think people are drawn to it? Because they are. I am. So I know there are others out there who are. What do you think it is that is capturing their imagination when they see your work?
My process is, I'm the old school ruler and X-Acto knife. Right. Everything is it's created from either a piece of paper, cardboard, styrene plastic, or wood, and it's all like pretty much built from scratch. And I put that together, and what I think really wows people is when you're able to recreate and make it look as if it's already been existing. So you add the rest, the grime effect, and so that's the process that actually wowed me in the beginning, and it's a process that I continue to try to learn and evolve.
So it's a super high level of realism, capturing all of the details.
Realism. Yes.
So at any given time, how many pieces are you working on? How many pieces have you done so far in a very short period of time? If you're only working on 3 years, that's nothing. Because I know how long it takes to work on one of these pieces. So talk about that. How many pieces have you done? Are you in progress with one? Can we get a sneak peek of what you're working on?
I haven't been able to master the whole multitasking of jumping from one project to the other. Like, for me, like, I need to give it like my full focus and attention when I'm working on like one piece at a time. Like, I haven't been able to master juggling like 2 or 3 pieces. It's just too much for me. And it does take a lot of time, because everything is like built from scratch. And so
project, are you drafting on paper? What's the very first step in your process? Where does the idea come from? Like, go back there. Like, what's the first step?
I guess it all depends on like who the client is, like who I'm working with. Either if it's an existing structure, then I'll go to Google Maps, and then I'll print out the image. And then from there, I get the visual, and I'm like, okay, this client wants it in like 1/48 scale. So I'm going to start with the door. And then from there, I'll create the windows and the structure. And this is all based on, just based on on my vision. Like it has to scale. So the window has to scale and match to the size of the door, you know, and if I put the windows up against the door and I'm like, okay, the windows are a little too big, it's just not matching, I'll go back and redo it. So
you're doing a lot of eyeballing. You're not working on CAD. You're not doing this in
no, it's yeah, and maybe I could save myself time with CAD. I don't know, but it works for me.
I think you're hitting what I feel like we're hitting on is what makes it truly unique, is that you are working off of your own eye, and that is what is so unique and creative about it. I think if you were working like a scale modeler, you wouldn't get the same effect. You're giving, that is what art is. It's through your eye that we're seeing that piece, how you see it.
Yes.
So I'm different than an architectural modeler, which is, okay, here's what we're building. But instead, we're going through how you see it, which is different than what anyone else would see it. It's your unique view.
Yes.
Okay, so that's making a lot more sense. So the other thing what you're touching upon is you're working. Is there a line of folks who are waiting for pieces from you?
There is. Yes. I am booked. I do have a lineup of projects.
I love it.
Awesome. I know, like it's truly so surreal just how far, you know, this has brought me, and how there are like people that, you know, trust and believe in my work, and to be able to, and you know, they trust it enough to like want a piece of their own in their home, in their safe place, and to know that like they want my art in their environment. Like that is like the most, you know, biggest compliment I can ever receive.
For sure. So you say you go through Google search, you look at images. Do you sometimes not actually see the site, or do you try to get to see the site, the actual site?
No, I
Rarely.
Ever since I started creating, I have never been on site to any of the pieces I've created. Everything has just been strictly through Google Images, or if it's an existing structure that really means so much to someone, they'll go to the place and give me like different angles for me. Like there was this house that I created in the UK, and they had went back to it and sent me back images of like their backyard and so forth, like stuff that I couldn't capture myself through Google Maps. So
right. Wow. All right. So I know I wanted to know. I know you're probably in progress on one piece. Is there any way we can see your work? Is there anything way you could put it in front so we can see some of it up close, or no? And if there isn't anything, then that's fine.
The piece that I'm working on right now is actually it's confidential. It's not really, I mean, I can't wait to show you guys like what I'm working on, biggest project. So it's amazing. And I'm actually working with Jax. His name is Plastic Action on Instagram.
Oh, okay.
And he does a lot of toy photography and stop motion animation. And he recently took me on board to be a part of his artistry, which is a huge honor for me, if anything. And we can't wait to show you guys.
Can't wait to see it. Absolutely. You mentioned something about photography, which I think, another reason why I'm so drawn to your work is because you shoot it so beautifully. And I think that's an important element in terms of your art. And so can you talk a little bit about that? Because a lot of your photographs are so creatively shot. They're wonderfully shot.
These photos, the ones I shoot, I'm like shooting it off of my cracked cell phone. So maybe the ones that you see are like actually like images that I've received from my clients. So there's another amazing artist that I work with and started working with prior to like a few years back is Joe Burr. He's Mr. Joe Beasy, and he is an amazing toy photographer. The way he captures and he's able to bring my pieces to life. And he's the one that that had requested for the Fliporama diorama. That one.
Yes, I love that piece.
And so he wanted to recreate the infamous bathroom scene from the movie Joker. And
so that's what that piece was.
Yes, and so I think with the miniature world, it's amazing how I've been able to branch out, different avenues and different paths. Like it's not, when you're in a miniature world, it's not just 1/12 scale. It can take you to there's a train scale you know, even smaller and even tinier, the 1/44th scale. You know, it's just amazing. And it's just mind-blowing, like where miniatures can take you. And so right now, the path that I'm on is being able to tell a story with my diorama pieces, and whether the clients use toy figures to make them come to life, like, you know, and so it's just been an amazing adventure so far.
Yeah. Do you feel like it found you, or you're finding it, or a little bit of both? I mean, if you know, you started in, I guess, what, 1/48th scale was your first piece, was the Kim's Convenience, right?
Yeah.
So what made you choose that scale? Like, you could have chosen...
I didn't even know that there was such thing as a scale, like scales, until like so as I was putting Kim's Convenience together, like that was my graduation piece. Like that was me in school, because I like tore that thing up so many times. You know, I created a door and I'm like, that door looks too big. And then I recreated and I'm like, now it looks too small. Go back, you know, go back to the drawing board. And then, you know, from the, like I said, like from the doors to the windows not matching, they look too big, or, you know, and then it's just kind of like by fluke. I found that, like, okay, you know, it looks great. Like, to me, like, it looks like it's to scale. And, you know, I look back, and because that's my first piece, if I were to redo any of my pieces, it would be that one, because I'd love to just see like the growth and the evolution that has happened, like from then till today, and just to see, like, in comparison, like where I'm at as, you know, as an artist now.
So what are some of your favorite tools? What tools can you not live without? Like,
oh, I can't live without my my Savage ruler. It's the one where, like, you can't cut yourself.
No, we need to see that.
Because when I first started, I was using like this ruler, right? Okay. And you know, I'm using it with my X-Acto knife, and I'd cut myself really bad. Wow. And I was like, okay, if I'm gonna keep doing this, I need to protect my fingers. I need my fingers to like keep creating. Like, how am I gonna be an artist? And then I found this ruler. Oh. It's a no-slip grip. So, you know, my fingers always go in here. You know, and then I'm like cutting with the X-Acto knife, and my fingers are never in danger. So
it's no slip. Is it made of metal?
Yes, it is made of metal, and it's
18-inch.
No, it's 24.
24. Do they come in 12-inch? I'm just curious. That looks like a great
sure. So I'm not sure. All I wanted when I ordered it off Amazon, all I cared about was that my fingers would be protected.
No, I love that. It's no skid. It's made of metal. It looks pretty weighty, which I like.
Yeah, I love it. It holds well. Yeah, I love it. And so this, my X-Acto knife, those are the two key tools that I need. Yeah.
And most and the materials you use mostly?
Materials would be heavy cardstock. The stir-in plastic. Yeah. And wood pieces.
Right.
Those
are like a little bit of mix.
Yeah, those are my go-to. Yeah, those are my go-to materials.
Awesome, awesome. I do see the motel behind you. That's not a finished piece. That's one of your finished pieces?
It is one of my finished pieces. I'm not sure if you know Schitt's Creek.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So this was also created off a TV show called Schitt's Creek, and it's actually an existing motel in Ontario. It actually exists.
Right.
Yeah. So they actually filmed out in Ontario for this show, and. Yeah, I fell in love with the characters and
I love
TV series. Yeah. I love it. This was kind of created on a whim also. Yeah. On one of my Netflix binge series.
So that's more of a, I don't know, what would you call that, a vignette? Because that's not a full diorama. It's sort of like a backdrop almost. What is on the back? It's just nothing on the back, right? Like
nothing on the back. It's just, nothing on the back.
I can't unfortunately see if there are any comments or questions. I don't know if you can. If there are any floating up, and if there's anything you see that you might want to react to or answer. Does anybody have any questions? Because unfortunately my screen is not showing any comments.
I see my mom.
Hi, Mom!
Hi, Mom!
Does Mom have any questions?
Oh, she can ask me later. We'll save Mom's question later.
So how can people find you? Obviously on Instagram, but if there are any commissions, you are open for commissions?
Yes, but there's a wait list.
There's a wait list, which is a great thing to be able to say.
I know,
sorry,
right?
But I have a wait list.
I never have dreamt that I could actually say that, you know, there's a wait list for my artwork. And have
there been any requests to showcase your work in any shows? Or is that too soon? Has anybody grabbed you up? Any curators? Because
not yet. But I mean, I'm always open for it. You know, manifesting. If the universe hears me, I'm here, and I would love to
see your work shared to share to a wider audience. So that would be really, really wonderful.
I have to say, like, you know, miniatures. It's so different in person. Like when you get to actually experience it in person and see the depth and, you know, the intricacies involved, like it just completely blows away the audience. It's so different than seeing something on your screen. And
it's definitely something that has been missing over the years. I mean, there's been awareness and growth of miniatures, mainly through social media channels, which is very flat. But I'm getting a sense that the shows are starting to build audiences. So people are attending shows. I mean, take COVID out of the picture, but the show attendance has been growing over the last few years. So there are opportunities to showcase miniatures at shows throughout the country and even in Canada if there are any shows in Canada. But so that is a good thing. So more people will start to see them. And there's definitely support from museums, I feel, over the last few years, with museums actually showcasing miniatures as one of their mediums to show. So there's definitely growth. It's an exciting category to be playing in if you're an artist. So I'm excited that you're here and that you are working with this medium. I hope you continue to. And so we'll be looking at you and looking for your work. We can't wait to hear more about this exciting project. But this has been awesome chatting with you, and thank you for spending this time with us.
Oh, Darren, truly, again, from my heart to yours, thank you so much for having me. This is truly an honor to sit with you, and I mean, I could listen to you talk all day about miniatures. You know, just keep feeding me the golden nuggets. You know, like just keep dropping those gems on me. I have so much to learn, and you're like an amazing person to learn
artists
from.
like you that fuel my inspiration and my energy for this. So right back at you, girl.
Oh, I'm glad you feel it. The feeling is mutual.
I do. But thank you, everybody at home, for watching. I appreciate it. Oh, tomorrow, I want to remind folks, tomorrow, I don't know if you're familiar with Guild School, but Guild School is an annual school that happens in Castine. People from all over the world come. This is the graduation. Tomorrow's graduation day. So all week the students have been working on their projects. And tomorrow I'm going to go live with a scholarship student, and she's going to take us through the gallery and show us all the student work. So I want to tell folks tomorrow to join us tomorrow at 6 p.m. We're going to start Eastern time.
I will be there.
So it'll be awesome. But thank you so much, Tracy. This has been so much fun.
Thank you, Darren.
Great chatting with you, and thank you, everybody at home. We'll see everybody soon. All right.
All right. Bye.